Hey, number one, sorry for making this in my car, but I'm late on the way somewhere, and I figured I might as well do this when I can, as best I can, and as best I can is in this car. So the word that I picked for before I became a Christian was fake, and the reason I chose that word was because all throughout high school and a lot of college, I was fake, and I was whoever I needed to be around whoever I was around. So in high school and in college, around my Christian friends, I was real churchy, and I would be all about scripture and all about Bible study and stuff like that, because that's who I was around. And I knew that to gain their approval, I had to look a certain way and talk a certain way and behave a certain way. And around my friends who weren't Christians, I would be a completely different way. In high school, I was on the soccer team and the lacrosse team, and around those guys, I would make inappropriate jokes. I was stealing stuff, just doing a bunch of things that I thought would gain their approval. I wanted to be accepted. And so it wasn't until I got to college and I really started to see what it was that makes you a Christian. And it's none of those things. You don't need anyone else's approval. And I started to realize that the only approval that I needed was God's. And I realized that by doing the things that I was doing, I was not getting God's approval at all. In fact, quite the opposite. The way that I was living was for man. And so there's a verse in Galatians, and forgive me for not knowing it off the top of my head, but it's Galatians 1:10, and to paraphrase, and forgive me for paraphrasing, but it says, am I trying to win the approval of man or of God? If I was trying to win the approval of man, I wouldn't be a servant of Christ. And that's so true. And that's the way that I'm living now, is that I'm not trying to get approval from man, because men's approval is going to be fluctuating all the time. I'm not trying to impress my parents by getting good grades or getting an awesome job, because their opinion ultimately doesn't matter. I'm not trying to impress my friends by being funny or being a super cool guy or anything like that, because their approval, I'm not striving for their approval. The only approval that I need and the only approval that I want is God's, because his approval is what matters. His opinion is what truly matters. So after I met Christ, I had purpose. I felt like I was genuine. I knew who I was. And now that I know who I am, and I know whose I am, I don't have to be anything that I'm not. And no one can tell me differently. So, there we go.